abundance, doing, and your intrinsic value of being. From the moment that you actively commit to your twin flame healing journey, you are going to be working on your abundance from every possible angle that you can imagine. It means that basically you are going to unlearn what abundance means to you. What is your relationship to wealth? What is your relationship to money? But also, what is your understanding of being worthy to receive? What is your understanding of abundance other than money? And so the first base that you are going to be working from is to know that by just being alive, existing, being, because you are part of creation, you deserve to receive everything that is available in creation, because you are part of it, because you are an extension of source. And so you always going to be provided, and your basic needs to just be alive, to just exist, are always going to be met. So it starts with the 5 basic needs of food, air, shelter, water, and sleep. And then the next 2, which are the need for connection, which is not necessarily to another human being, but it can be in many forms, and the need for purpose, which is to find joy and excitement in the things that you do. And these 7 needs, for you to thrive as a physical being living in this universe, on this planet, is always going to be met. But the trick is, it's most likely never going to be in the ways that you want, in the ways that you think you want to experience it. It's always going to be in the ways that you need the most to grow, in the ways that you need the most to expand as a being, right? So the journey, the way it's going to look like, your healing journey around abundance, is basically, if you have limiting belief around borrowing money from your friends or family or colleagues, you're probably going to have to do that at some point so you can integrate your lesson. Not forever, but just for you to integrate that lesson. If you have a limiting belief getting benefit, having money from the government, because you feel you're undervalued human being, or maybe you don't want to be dependent, or you feel like you are at the bottom of a status ladder in your society, then you're probably going to have to go through that lesson. If you feed off a lot of validation from interacting with people because you have a certain personality and people engage easily with you and you get validation from that, you're probably going to be asked to be in isolation a lot and find different kind of connection, maybe with nature, where you don't have a direct, tangible feedback loop and validation from that, where you find your fulfillment. Right? And if you define yourself through your doing, and you have a skill or a talent that you want to share, or you want to channel it into an art form, or in your doing as a career, and making a living out of it, and maybe even getting paid really well from doing that, you have attachment in that, you're probably going to have to let go and find a bread job. And maybe you look down on the bread job thinking it wasn't as valuable as doing something that you really enjoy, or maybe from a skill or have a creative perspective. And so you're probably going to have to stay in that bread job until you let go of all the rejection and attachment that you had towards that, versus something that you find more creative or more fulfilling, right? So you're constantly going to be navigating from tapping into an area where you have limiting beliefs, but then you might go to an extreme of doing that and then forget about the rest, but then you're going to be taken back to maybe stepping into something that you love doing and creative and is fulfilling, but you're doing it now without getting validations and making the living out of it. So you are just doing it for the enjoyment of it, but then your income is coming from something else, all of that. So you are going to be navigating and going through an insane number of situations that is going to be constantly moving you from one side to another, just to see where you're at. Because unless you experience the opposite of what you are currently experiencing, you don't know where you're at. So you are going to be always experiencing one thing and then move out from it, and then go to another thing and then taken out of it, and then try again but from a different aspect, and then see what other aspect needs to be released and transmuted. And so that is what your whole journey of abundance, around abundance, is going to look like, which is basically all the areas in your life, right? Ultimately, to come back to that true abundance, to that one essence, that one core knowingness, that true, real abundance starts within you, which means that it's not dependent on anything outside of yourself, that it's already within you, right? That is the core knowingness that you want to come back to. But it's such a difficult journey, because when you say it like this, intellectually we all think we believe that we have it in us. But when you actually have to take actions and live your life from that place, you realize you don't actually believe it. And that's normal, because we've been so conditioned from our childhood, from our society, from the collective mindset of a belief system based on meritocracy, where you have to be somebody, where you have to be something else than you, that you have to be doing something to deserve to receive, that the worthiness to receive is not intrinsic within you, but is so dependent on everything outside of yourself. And that's what we've been embedded in for so long, passed on generation after generation, and throughout the whole collective of a human race, that now to come back to the essence, to our intrinsic value of ourselves as beings, and to receive, is really a whole journey of its own. And so you can build from scratch to come back to that one essential truth, right? That by just being you, no matter who you are, and no matter what you look like, no matter what you're doing, you deserve to receive everything that is available. It's just not maybe in the ways that you think you want. That is the one trick that you need to accept, that is part of this journey. So for the twin flames, experiencing inner union energy at this moment on your journey, so you've gone through all this insane healing around abundance, and you are still implementing some of it, and you are now putting into practice, and you are going to do it by embodying your healing journey and the way you are going to share this journey. And you probably have been on and off and how you implement it throughout your whole journey, but now you are going to see a clear path manifesting. And for some of you, you are going to have a direct result and money, income, and you can live from it, from what you're doing, right? And for some of you, you are going to get the same amount of abundance, but it's not going to be directly from you doing. It's going to be from another source where you gain an income and your monetary value, so you can provide for yourself. But it's not going to be directly linked to you doing. And there is no one better than the other. It's just a different way of experiencing abundance. And one might look easier than the other, just because it fits more of the human ways of experiencing abundance, that we have this always connection to money. But actually, both are as valuable. It's just a different way of experiencing it. And so you need to understand what is your soul plan and your soul path, but also what is your twin flame dynamic and the theme that you wanted to explore together with your counterpart, because it's going to match exactly what you wanted to explore. So it will completely make sense, and so you will be able to really find enjoyment in this experience instead of going against it and find pain in it.